creating the sculptures, the design for Slimer, it was kind of an odd thing. It was hard for me not to be kind of offended. Well, let's just go ahead and say enraged by the fact that I had to sculpt it over and over and over again to get an approval. Back in the day, back then, creating a character, an animatronic character for a film, which was a much more straightforward thing. You'd go to someone like Rick Baker or Rob Bottin and you'd say, here's the script, here are the things it has to do, here's the amount of time we have to do it in, here's the amount of money we'd like to pay. What can you do? What's the best you can give us? And usually people would just be thrilled to have hired the person that they thought would do the best job, and they hired them because they were an artist. They liked that person's art. So it was odd then to sculpt 7 different versions of it. Actually, one of the interesting things we did is, for time reasons, and also because I felt like I wanted to be a little bit clever with this, I made replaceable faces for him. For the full scale one, there were 3 different faces. There was his normal face, which was an enormous, maniacal, rabid smile. Then there was a really open mouth face that was just a much bigger open mouth. And there was also a drinking face where he's kind of all tanked over to one side, made specifically for the shot where he's drinking a champagne off the room service cart. And what I would do is I designed the understructure of the suit, let's call it, the thing that the performer wore, so that we could literally unsnap the foam. I designed a series of wrinkles right around the largest part of the face. So there was one wrinkle that was a cut line, and it had all the mechanicals attached into it for the eyes, for the jaw, everything. When we wanted to switch faces, we would pop that loose and pop a new one on, and it blended off in the wrinkle, and it was literally, you could do it like this. So that was kind of fun, but again, you get into the filming and things are like go, 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 go. And we actually never used the drinking face for the champagne thing. So if he's just got this giant open mouth and he's just chugging it down, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. But nobody seems to care. It was the 80s. It was okay. There was also a very small one sculpted. And the reason it was sculpted is a guy named Mark Siegel, a sculptor at the studio, sculpted that one. Is because we wanted to get a shot of Slimer doing some crazy antics, like total, like cartoon things that we could never get with the real character, because the real character obviously was tied to 8 puppeteers and, all of these people that were coming through slots in his face, manipulating by hand his facial expressions. So this one was rod puppeted and filmed, and it was tiny. It was about this big, and I believe the only shot we ended up using it for in the final film is when he jumps from the chandelier and bounces across the room when he finally takes on. So one of the things I really wanted to do to make this character into a living 3-dimensional cartoon for the film, because that's what the producers and the director wanted, and it just fits the film, is to design his performance in a way, or his manipulation in a way, that it would be incredibly broad. When he made faces, when he chews, when he smiles, the changes in his face would be structural. I mean, he would literally change shape, as opposed to just tying a little cable to his cheeks to make them smile, which was kind of what I had been doing up to that point. And to me, that just never worked. And in the case of this film, it was a live-action cartoon, and I saw it like a Tex Avery thing, like a classic cartoon. And I thought, well, if you look at a cartoon, when they smile, their cheeks don't just go like this. They go out like this, and their head flattens, and all kinds of craziness happens. They structurally change. And so the only way to do that, and I had never seen anything like this done, but like I said before, it was a playground at Boss Film. They just said, put a man on it, do what you need to do. Well, for instance, the tongue itself, even. I mean, you see it when he's like licking the plate off of the room service cart, and he tosses the plate over. The tongue was literally a tongue sculpture over a hand. It was a glove. It was a foam rubber glove. It was thick with a lot of wrinkles on it. And there was a guy dressed in a black suit behind the performer wearing the Slimer costume, sticking his tongue-gloved hand through the mouth and licking like this. And it was all as direct and as simple as we could get it. If you were to do this as an animatronic, it would be, computer controlled and all kinds of RC and 1,000 people working on it, doing nothing, making millions of dollars an hour. And when you finally get to the set, it doesn't work anyway. But in those days, we're like, you know what? How can it break if you just reach into it and grab it? The whole thing worked that way. It was basically a big loose piece of foam rubber being manipulated by as many people in black suits that could get their hands into it and muscle it.